All right, so as we're approaching the end of 2025, I thought it'd be a great time to start making my price predictions or price targets for stocks. And in this video, I'm going to look at Amazon and give you my estimate of where I think this stock price will be by the end of 2027. I'm going to use some estimates and assumptions to make this price target, and I'll share with you precisely where I'm getting all that information to make this stock price estimate. Speaking of estimates to make my price prediction, it's a great time to thank the sponsor of this video, Fiscal.ai. They provide financial information that I use every day for several hours to make my financial analysis, buy, hold, or sell ratings, all of the information, and I'm collecting a lot of information. They're saving me a lot of time to collect my information. I don't have to go to all of the individual websites. They aggregate a lot of information. One of the numbers I need to make this stock price estimate is Amazon's 2027 earnings per share estimate, which Fiscal AI has here, which they estimate the analyst on Wall Street, the company will deliver $9.47 in earnings per share in 2027. Now, I'm also going to need Amazon's price to earnings ratio, which as of this recording stands at 32, near the lower end of where the company has traded for according to this metric, going all the way back to January of 2024. Another thing I like about Fiscal AI is they have segment information unavailable anywhere else. So when I want to look at Amazon's AWS revenue, which is the company's most important segment with the highest operating profit margins, I can take a look here over the previous decade. Its AWS revenue has increased from 12 billion to 122 billion, a nearly 10x increase. And so I can understand why Amazon is spending so much money building the data centers optimized for artificial intelligence to serve this segment, which has grown by 10x over the previous decade and generates operating profit margins at 30 to 35%, which is well above the operating profit margins of its other business segments. So now that I have all the estimates I need, we can jump into my scenario analysis for Amazon. As I showed you earlier, the earnings per share estimated for 2027 is $9.47, and the price to earnings multiple is 32 right now. If all else remains the same, the share price is likely to increase to $303 if the company is on track to deliver this earnings per share and the PE multiple remains the same. But I think it's more likely that Amazon's PE multiple increases. If it increases to 35, then the price could increase to 331. If it increases to 40, then the price could increase to $379. But it's not all upside. There is risk with Amazon. Most notably, it could be that the company overspends on these data centers. It could be negatively impacted from tariffs, and the business could falter. And in that case, the PE multiple could decrease to 22, which would mean the stock price falls to 208 from the current share price of 226. Now, just because I've only estimated these four scenarios doesn't mean these are the only outcomes I expect. There are very many outcomes that are possible. These four are just the ones that I see most likely. Now, the reason why I said I think Amazon's PE multiple increases is, for one, it's trading near the lower end of where the PE multiple has traded for at 32. This is near the lowest it's been since January of 2024. Amazon stock typically trades at a higher valuation. Secondly, I think the risks from tariffs by the end of 2027, those will mostly be mitigated. Amazon will have spent considerable time adjusting to these changes, and the management team I view as being one of the best management teams of any company available. And so I'm relatively confident in this management team's ability to handle these circumstances because of what I've seen from this management team since 2020. Remember, the pandemic had unprecedented circumstances in both going into the lockdown stage and coming out of the lockdown stage. A lot of companies did well on one of two sides, right? Either the lockdown stage, where companies like Peloton and Zoom Video absolutely thrived, or coming out of the lockdown stage, where companies like Disney, and Airbnb absolutely thrived as people made up for pent up demand coming out of the lockdown where they were locked up at home for several years. But relatively few companies did great on both sides of that equation, going in and coming out of the lockdown. And this management team is one I perceived as handling the situation excellently. Unprecedented circumstances, and they handled it relatively well. So, given that they demonstrated skill in handling that unprecedented circumstance, I can be reasonably confident that they can handle this new circumstance with increases in trade barriers relatively well. So, my estimate on them handling it well is not just based on hope or enthusiasm, it's based on what the management team has demonstrated to me over the previous 5 years. And then, even before that, but over the previous 5 years is when they really faced the unprecedented circumstances. I've been impressed with Amazon's management team going all the way back to 2015, 2016. So for those reasons, I expect the multiple to increase. But where do I think the stock price ends by the end of 2027? I think there will be a range. As you've probably seen my estimates, I don't include a point estimate, but I provide a target range estimate for where I think it will be. And I think the share price will be somewhere between $300 and $330 per share by the end of 2027, which would be a nice increase from the current price of $226. I know I would be happy with that increase as an Amazon stock shareholder myself. By the way, you can get access to these price targets that I create for the stocks with a channel membership at the investor tier, and you'll also get access to my buy, hold, or sell ratings on hundreds of companies that I'm following, and you'll also get my discounted cash flow valuations for hundreds of companies that I'm following. I calculate a proprietary discounted cash flow for the companies that I'm following. So there's a lot of risk with Amazon stock in the near term. The two most notable risks are the increase in capital expenditures and the return on investment, the uncertainty surrounding that, and then the increase in trade barriers. How will the business react to those circumstances? But I believe that the reward is worth the risk for Amazon stock investors, given the company's ability to mitigate some of these challenges with an excellent management team. But where do you think the stock price ends 2027? I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. By the way, did you know about our exciting channel membership program? You get so much for less than $5 a month, including dozens of exclusive videos, access to exclusive research on over 100 stocks, and early access to many of my videos before everyone else sees them. Click that join button below to learn what this program is all about.